Okay everybody, so welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are looking at Tesla stock and we are trying to give ourselves a little price prediction on Tesla stock for the next 14 days-ish. And of course, if anything significant does change from this day to the next 14 days, I will update you on that as soon as that news does come out. So a few things which you need to know to understand the video properly. Some of the information which I'm going to talk about in this video might have already been talked about in other videos, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. All it allows for you to do is make a wholesome decision basically based on all of the science and a lot of people's opinions. Speaking of opinions, this is nothing but my opinion based on the news and things which we are seeing about the company, and none of this is necessarily fact. So if it doesn't actually play out this way, of course, it's just my opinion. With that being said, if you could just like the video and subscribe, it would be appreciated. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and we're basically almost halfway there now. So if you could just help us and help with the other half, the hard part is basically done now. If you guys can just support the other side. Right, so with that being said, again, we now have a Discord, so if you want to come and join Discord, talk about stocks, link is in the description. Right then, so let's have a quick look at Tesla stock. So on the 1 day, Tesla stock is actually slightly in the red. So we started off the day on 421.32. We dropped all the way down to about 408. So you can see quite the drop there, almost $20, slightly less actually, but you can see quite the drop indeed. So from there, we actually started to make a move all the way up. Then we actually dropped down again to 409.09. And from that point though, we really have kind of been making a stable recovery all the way back up to the current price right now of around 417.50 apparently, so not bad at all. But we can see that the stock is technically down for the day. That's minus 2% on the day, by the way, if you're wondering. 5 day is actually a similar story, with a stock basically starting off the week on a price of about 446 and 46. Very interesting how those two numbers at the end are exactly the same, but nevertheless that is the way that things are. It basically sold off very slowly all week until we got around to the 23rd of October. That was Thursday, so last night, and we really did see a sell-off from there. Today looks like a slight recovery, but not really anything significant in relation to the drop, so clearly not a V-shaped recovery today. And one of the reasons which I think this is due to is one, due to a news factor which I'm going to be talking about in a moment, and two, due to the fact that a lot of stocks are falling right now. And of course, in my opinion, that's because it's a very volatile time. One of the major things which is probably affecting a lot of these stocks at the minute is obviously the US presidential election. Now, either way, whether it's Biden or Trump that gets in, of course, it is going to have a large effect on the market as people are just unsure who's going to get in and what subsequent policies are going to be coming with that. So that's one thing to bear in mind with the recent price drops, and I can probably see this happen with a lot of stocks into the next few weeks until the actual presidential election does happen. Then I can see a week after that perhaps the stock starting to bounce back. So on the 1 month we are still in the green for Tesla. We started off the month on $380 and you can see we saw highs. Well, we saw an actual high of around 461, and then we saw a previous high before that at 448 before a sell-off, and then we climbed all the way to just that high that's talked about of 461. From there, we did actually sell off all the way down to where we're at now. Right now, we actually did see a little bit of recovery at $425, but not really anything too significant. 6 months, so of course we did actually have the stock split, and that was one of the major factors for driving the share price up. But from that point, really, we haven't really seen much. I mean, Tesla is obviously, in my opinion, at least a growth stock. So yes, it has slowly been moving up, even though it has been dipping here and points that you can pick. It has been dipping, but generally speaking, it has gone up. So since July, we can see that it's gone up about 72%. So not bad at all. And on the 1 year, we can really see the move that the stock has had, starting off around January, the 3rd of January, that was on $88. Of course, that is accounted for the stock split, if you were wondering. So you can see we've really even made quite a move from there. Looking out to the 5 year, we all know the Tesla story. It's that explosive stock. You know how this one goes. Massive returns. But yeah, that's just what's happened in the past. So now let's have a look at what's happening now and then use that to make a decision on what might happen in the future. So currently, we actually do have a news article about Tesla, which is recalling 30,000 cars in, I think it is China. Yes, so if you look on this article here on auto.hindustan Times, I think it is, you can see it on the top anyway. It says basically Tesla is recalling about 30,000 imported Model S and X cars in China. So the recall does not affect products made in Shanghai facility, which currently roll out only the Model 3. So of course, them two cars aren't in that list. But basically, there are suspension issues with this car. I think that is kind of one of the things which can make the stock take a temporary hit. Although there are a lot of good things to talk about with the stock as well. So one thing which I'm going to talk about is the expansion of the company. So if you don't really know, Tesla are building factories all over. It just said about Shanghai. They've got one coming to, I think it might be Texas. I can't remember where it is, but somewhere in America anyway, one is coming. Another one. We've got one coming to Germany in Berlin. I think we've got one coming into the UK and quite a few other places. It's really expanding the company, and all that allows for is cars to be manufactured quicker, more cars to be manufactured, and cars to be kind of localized and specialized to the local, regulations and laws basically. So of course in some countries you might need, for example, left-hand drive, some countries right-hand drive, some countries thinner or thicker bumpers, mirrors, whatnot, and of course having each car made in a separate factory allows for more specialist care basically when producing the vehicle. So yeah, a lot of the factories coming out all over the world can really have an impact. Now another thing is, as the car manufacturer does grow, we are going to see a stock price increase as awareness about the brand does also increase. Like we know, electric cars are coming, and they're coming whether you like them or not, and what this means is that basically at some point everybody will be driving an electric car. Now of course Tesla was one of the first, if not the first player in the electric car market, but that does not necessarily mean anything anymore. A lot of other manufacturers are actually starting to catch up, and of course that is actually important to note. Now what could that mean for the stock price? Now not necessarily in the next 14 days, but over the longer period, what could this potentially mean for the stock price? Well, let's think about this one logically, okay? If you are, let's say you're rich, or even you're not rich, even if you're poor, or wherever you are financially, maybe you don't like the design of Tesla. Maybe you are a millionaire, for example, and you've got the choice between a Tesla Model S, which is electric, and, I don't know, like a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which is electric. Of course, you probably want to go for the Rolls-Royce, even though it's just another electric car, because once this becomes normalized, Tesla won't really have that cool novelty factor around it. Very important thing to consider, and that could potentially result in slower growth in the company in the next few years. So I would definitely be considering that one if you are looking into Tesla. But let's have a look at what the actual experts say, and this is basically coming off CNN Business, and of course the website for that, money.cnn.com, and of course we are looking at Tesla stock and giving it a little forecast based on what the actual analysts say. Let's have a quick read on this one. So, of the 33 analysts offering a 12-month price forecast for Tesla Inc., they basically have a median target of $380, a high of $800, a low of $40. So the median estimate represents a minus 8.87% decrease from the last price of $416.99. Very, very interesting indeed. I'm going to be explaining all of that and what that means to you right now. Okay, so of course, basically we have 33 different analysts offering a 12-month price forecast. Now, it doesn't actually say who these analysts are right here, so how reliant they are is not necessarily apparent clearly, so we don't actually know who they are. Might be something to consider, but basically with 33, that's a lot of individuals who have separate opinions, so we can see what the general opinion around Tesla is. So the high is for $800. That would represent a 91% increase on the share price. Lows are actually minus 90%. So analysts are basically saying that it could go high, extremely high, or extremely low. So even on the high estimate, analysts aren't expecting another 800, 900% year increase. So that's very interesting to see, and that's even on the high side. Now on the very low side, people are saying that Tesla stock is actually going to crash down to $40. Now, I personally don't believe that this can happen. I mean, yes, I could say in my opinion that the stock is overvalued, but I think that the company itself generally has good, good morals and basically intend to do something very good in the sense that they are making cheaper cars, cheaper electric vehicles, making electric vehicles available to all. Things like that are very cool. I think Tesla is kind of like how Ford was back in the 1900s with the Model T, mass producing cheap electric cars for the masses. So that could actually also influence the share price up in the longer period. The median estimate is something which we really should consider because, of course, that is a high divided by the low. So that's basically what the majority of investors are saying, kind of, and they are saying that they are looking at a minus 9%, and that would result in a price of $380. Now, I think that's interesting, and I would personally think that's fair. Now, I would say for the next few days and months and weeks, Tesla is probably not going to do too much. Like I said, election coming up, but I can understand how they're going to say minus 9%. I think that the share price is kind of overvalued, and I am a fan of Tesla, but I think their price is kind of overvalued, but I can't really see it going to minus 90% because if the company is going to lose 90% of its value, I highly doubt that. But yes, I can see something like a small minus 9%, going on in the next few months and to the end of the year, basically. So that's unfortunate, but it is possible. Looking at the 12-day, 14-day period, I don't think we're going to see much at all. We might see Tesla in the green ever so slightly. We might see it further into the red. After that small sell-off at the end of the week, I would personally love to see it in the green, but we'll just have to see. I would not really say anything too significant will happen this month, but that's just my opinion. Of course, when the election does come up, I think that could change, but that's just what I think for the time being. So if anything does change, I will update you on that one. If you have an opinion on Tesla stock, come and tell us on Discord, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.